$1,000. In Sri Lanka, we'll buy you a truckload of food like potatoes, onions, and dal, and a couple tuk-tuks full of school books. How do I know? Well, when my 4-day boat tour got canceled in the Philippines, I took that money, plus what I probably would have spent on a week of drinking and partying, and came a week early to Sri Lanka to spend $1,000 on food and books for people who desperately need it. Sri Lanka is in the midst of an economic crisis that has left many of its people unable to afford food to eat. I told Manash, a local Sri Lankan and owner of the Treehouse Hostel in Sigiriya, the idea for my plan. He shared a passion for helping others, so immediately got in contact with the local monks who knew which families from the villages needed help the most. The plan was to go buy the food and then bring it to a local temple the next day to give it to the people. The mission started to grow. A German couple, Tobias and Miriam, who just arrived at the hostel, joined the cause and also contributed, which allowed us to buy enough food for another 40 or more families in the hardest hit poverty areas around the village. In total, we now had enough funds for around 140 families to get 3 weeks worth of food, plus school books for another 40 children in a different village. The other guests and now friends at our hostel also immediately jumped in to help, coming with us into town to buy the food and to help us sort and portion the food that evening.
A lot of potatoes.
When we returned to the hostel after buying the food and books, we could not believe what we saw. Some new guests who had just checked in had heard of the plan and were already working with the boys from the local community to sort and pack the food. In fact, it took about half an hour before we were up to speed on the production line that was already in progress. We literally became a throw-together organization overnight. It was a beautiful sight to see all these people come together for a good cause that they believed in, and we literally could not have done it without all of their help, and for that, I'm very thankful. Even as it was, we worked late into the night, which happened to be New Year's Eve. Everyone gave up their nights of celebrating and parties to stay and organize the food. Spirits were high as everyone worked hard as a team and had a lot of laughs. At midnight, we had a toast outside the kitchen and shared a very different but special New Year's with new friends. The next morning, when we arrived at the temple, we were overwhelmed by the number of people already there waiting for us. There were smiles and there were tears as we handed out the food to the local families who had sent one representative to collect the food. A family can have anywhere from 5 people to upwards of 10 living together, so the food being distributed will likely feed somewhere between 500 to 1,000 people for the next 3 weeks. Not only will the food fill the stomachs, but it will also allow the families to reallocate the money they do have to buy other essential items such as medicines. It was an absolutely humbling experience to see the joy on people's faces as they received what should be the basic essentials for everyone in life. Now, $1,000 is a lot for me. Life back home in Canada is expensive, but it's money I do have access to that a collective 140 families here don't, just to get food to eat. It's crazy to me because this wasn't some organization or charity, it was just a decision to reallocate some of my backpacking travel money to go buy some groceries at a store and give them to a local village. Now, over 100 families that did not have enough food to eat yesterday and would not have had enough food to eat tomorrow now have enough to eat a full day's meal for almost the rest of the month. It hit us very heavily when Manash told us afterwards that our team's work didn't just make these people happy and improve their day, it completely changed their situation. What a way to start the new year for 2023. With full hearts, we headed to the next village to give books to kids that don't have enough money to buy books or school supplies. This was a very heartfelt experience as we handed out the school books to the happy and excited children who had prepared a presentation with singing and dancing for us. This whole experience from start to finish grew and grew. We went from being strangers, a team, and now friends, as each person selflessly gave their time and effort to spend their vacation during New Year's to help feed families. No questions were asked, and no asking for help was needed, as everyone jumped in voluntarily and with big hearts to do good for others. Now, we are just one small team in one place in this world that is facing poverty, and I am just one person. We can't possibly help everywhere, and probably neither can you. But we can choose to do what we can and to have our moments. Just by traveling in countries like Sri Lanka that have the hardest hit economies and having a vacation, we do good for people by putting money from more stable economies into local people's pockets. And if we do decide to take it one step further, reallocate some of our travel money specifically to do good, whether it's one family or 100 families, we can all have our moment. And for us, this incredible team of humans here who I'll always be grateful for, this was our moment, here, New Year's 2023 in Sigiriya, Sri Lanka.